gentlemen, welcome to another aviation conversation with Smoke on Go today. Today we'll be talking to Mark Hensman, a well-known aviation figure in South Africa. He's best known for his solo aerobatics, his competition aerobatic pilot, solo display aerobatic pilot, formation aerobatic pilot. He's a man of many talents, and another one of his great talents is as an aviation engineer. And Sean and I are going to be just asking Mark questions and getting to know him a little bit better on your behalf. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Ellis. Good to see you, man. Hi, Sean.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you, Mark.
So, how are things going there in Cape Town with all the COVID drama?
Yeah, I spend most of my time in the hangar. I'm rebuilding this cub at the moment, little J3 cub, and doing a little bit of design work on fuel trailers and stuff. So I haven't really been poking my head out too much, but I believe the traffic situation is sorted, but nothing much else.
Yeah, that is one of the upsides, especially living in Fourways, the traffic capital of the world. We at least don't have to deal with that, but there's all this other stuff that we have to deal with. I'm getting phone calls from an old friend of yours, regular phone calls from Elton, telling me that you're living the dream and that you've worked out the meaning of life, living in your hangar, working in your hangar. You roll out of bed and the first thing you see in the morning is an aeroplane.
Yeah, that's pretty close to the truth. Yeah, for once from Elton.
Yeah, for once from Elton, yeah. So he's not exaggerating.
No, he's not this time.
We know that you now live in South Africa, but that you hail from Rhodesia, or as we know it now, Zimbabwe, that you grew up there and eventually made your way down south to Cape Town. Just give us a little bit of history.
Yeah, I was actually born in Cape Town, and when I was about 2 years old, my family moved back to Rhodesia. I went to all-boys boarding school at the age of 7, and I guess that's where I started getting interested in aircraft, building model airplanes and stuff. I then went to senior school, also boarding school. And while I was at school, I learned to glide. Gliding was my sport for about 12 years. I started flying professionally and ended up in a cargo airline called Afritair, flying DC-8s. And it was there that with Afritair, that I built a Crescent Eagle from a kit. And that sort of started off my aerobatic career. From the Crescent Eagle, I went to Yak 55, also in Zim. I rebuilt quite a sort of tatty one. I rebuilt that to sort of new condition, and then moved to Cape Town. While I still had the Yak 55, I think I was 35 or so, and shortly after that, bought a share in the MX2, a new MX2, which I still own today.
Where did you learn your skills as an engineer?
I just used to make stuff from as early as I can remember. I was always in my old man's workshop, tinkering away. That's all I did. And building model aircraft. I built the Eagle, and I guess the skills just sort of developed. I've never done any formal engineering other than 2 years as the Breitling team mechanic at Red Bull Air Race. I guess I could say it's more of a hobby or a passion, just like the flying is.
Mark, if I may make an observation here, have you ever read anything by Richard Bach?
A long time ago, Sean. I can't even remember what it was called. But just remind me of the title.
Okay, well, he was most famous for Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah.
But I wanted to carry on.
There's another one as well.
Yeah, but he did a lot of short stories, and in the short stories, he has this fictitious character called Drake, who runs a flying coaching setup. And the dream is that the students arrive, they learn how to build gliders, and then they have to progress from gliders and so up to a J3, and they have to build the aircraft, they have to maintain the engines and the propellers and everything else. And we all come from different backgrounds in aviation, but it's lovely to hear your story, because it's almost as if Richard Bach wrote it for you.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build your Eagle, your Christian Eagle?
4 years, 3 months, and 4 days.
Okay, that's pretty good going. because the first time you and I met, I think it was 1996, for that first AWAC, the Advanced World Aerobatic Championship.
95.
Was that 95? And you arrived in your Christian Eagle, and you were sponsored by Toyota. And I remember we were at the Nelspruit Air Show, and that was the first time we saw you display. And I was with Scully, and you got airborne, and nobody knew you weren't a name yet. And my old man and I were walking down the flight line, and all of a sudden he was like just paying attention. I remember my old man looking at and saying, geez, this guy flies really, really well. Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Back to the J3 Cub.
To the J3 Cub. We're all going to go full circle at some point. And a J3 Cub is a wonderful aircraft to fly. Your South African aerobatic titles, just give us a brief history of your South African aerobatic competition career.
I won the Nationals in 2006. You were there. Remember at Uzi? And and again in, I think it was 2009, Oudtshoorn. And World Championships, the best I've done is 6th at advanced level. We've come basically the top 3 of the team score towards team championship. We've come second twice, once in America in 2007. There was 25 countries and we came second. In Poland, 2009 or 10.
Are you still involved in it? Are you going to stay involved in it, or have you?
Yeah, that's the intention. With COVID and no income at the moment, I'm sort of having to watch the pennies. But I'm confident that as soon as things are financially better, I'll be back. Yeah, for sure.
Formation aerobatics, what's your feeling on formation aerobatics? I mean, you cut your teeth as a competition aerobatic pilot. Do you have any favorite or not? Well,
definitely the most fun is formation. I don't think there's anything, as you know, as much fun as formation aerobatics with the right people. It's really cool, yeah. We've had Team Extreme for must be 10 years now. Yeah, I'm really hoping to continue with that as soon as things get better. Absolutely.
And what is your position in the Team Extreme formation?
I fly normally number 4, but I fill in at number 2 or lead, as the sort of need requires. I started off as lead, and then I went to 4. But I sometimes, if Sammy can't make it, then I'm at number 2. Yeah, never 3.
3. We were discussing that the other day. It's like, find out he flies 3 in the Pitts team. I fly 3 in the Harvard team. But for some reason, he's always been a natural 3. But I always preferred, although I fly number 3 now, and it's become kind of second nature. It took a long time. I always felt more comfortable on the right-hand side, the left-hand side. Yeah. Always felt like I was writing with my left hand.
Yeah. It's very interesting to hear you say that, Mark, because it's a really weird choice that one makes. And you're so versatile. You could really do anything, but obviously it's a matter of choice, and you've got to enjoy formation aerobatics, which you clearly do.
I think it's like anything in this sport or this game, you've got to spend the time, training. And I just haven't done that in 3. It's to quote Larry, he says that, flying 3 is doable, but it's a working day. It's not a fun day.
And eventually, after years and years of flying there, it becomes fun, but it does take a while. So now Team Extreme is split over, you guys are, the only 2 guys that are in Cape Town are you and Sammy, and then Nigel and Jason are up here in Gauteng. So
that's great.
Guys don't get to really practice that much, I suppose. But after 10 years, you kind of know your...
Yeah, I think, the practice is the shows, yeah. We've been doing it so long. And we have a very simple sequence. There's not too many clever tricks.
I don't actually think it's such a simple sequence, Mark. You guys do a wonderful job. It's lovely to watch. One of the things that I admire about your flying when it comes to formation work is when you are part of a 2-ship doing opposing and synchronized maneuvers. That's something that you really good at. Is it something that you particularly enjoy?
We have a very similar style. So when it came to synchronizing the two of us, we just flew, and it was the same, so that was fortunate. We both had the same plane and the same style, and so the synchronized stuff worked really well, and it was great fun. Yeah,
very noticeable. One of the aspects of your flying that I also have admired, believe it or not, we do when we're on the ground at air shows, we do watch everybody else, and one thing you can do, Mark, is draw lines, incredible verticals, horizontals, 45s, whatever you want. What is your secret?
Just fly the sight gauge. I never look anywhere else but the sight gauge. So, on the line. So, you just look and see that it stays there. But thank you, Sean. That's quite a compliment.
Yeah, you've got a very distinct way of flying, and I mean that with only the greatest of admiration. Your style does kind of stand out a bit, very smooth, long, straight lines. The way you fly an aeroplane is very spirited, and that's always nice to see. I don't think a lot of people appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, Ellis. Never thought about it like that, but thank you. I enjoy watching you guys as well a lot.
I know that Nigel Lamb is a mentor of yours, or somebody that you've looked up to and that's helped you along the way. He also used to talk about the Hannahs, and he would say the thing about Ray and Mark Hannah was the spirited fashion in which they displayed aircraft. Now,
thanks, man.
Tell us about your time with Nigel Lamb in the Red Bull racing.
Oh, that was fun. Nigel and I go back a way. In fact, that training for that AWAC in 1995, that was my first contest. So I phoned up Nigel and asked him if he wanted to come and fly my Eagle in that contest, and he did. So we spent a couple of weeks together training. Yeah, it was at least a couple of weeks. So a lot of my sort of aerobatic style is from Nigel. He's the guy who sort of did my initial, honing and training for that contest. We became really good mates from that, and quite a few occasions after that. Obviously, he's living in England and I was in Zimbabwe. He had a long-term engineer on the team, and a month before the start of the 2016 season, he got sick, the engineer, Hux. And Nigel was in a bit of a spot because, there are not many people that can, at the drop of a hat, just sort of change their year plans, Anyway, he called me up and I said, yeah, sure, that'll be great. I mean, who wouldn't in that position? So I did the season with him, 2016, and really enjoyed it. Met some really good people and absolutely loved it. And I was only going to do it for a year. It was like Nigel's last year. So, that was my plan, was 1 year. And then Mika he took over Nigel's team, and he wanted the team to be exactly the same for his first year until he found, his own footing, which worked really well. I did probably 3/4 of the year of the 2017 year with Mika. He then took his own full-time mechanic, and I carried on with China. So yeah, it was an absolutely awesome experience, and I loved it.
Was there ever any talk or opportunity of you maybe racing yourself?
Yes, I would have loved to, obviously. I mean, wouldn't we all? But it was always on my mind, and I never made the move. I was always thinking to speak to Nigel about it, and I never did. I just thought, well, they'll never choose me.
Mark, just a point of interest, while you were busy doing this, the Red Bull racing, how did you stay current?
I never got to fly on the track. It's just something you can't do, because they're generally in cities and, there's all rules and stuff. So you can't just have a go at it. But I did a lot of the ferrying across Europe and America with the plane. So that was fun. And but no, never got to fly on the track. We had a few events in China which were pylon racing. It's a bit of a copy of Red Bull Air Race. They used kind of jumpy castle pylons, so you might as well hit a concrete wall if you hit one of the pylons. But they weren't planned for it.
But in China, a pilot is a pilot is a pilot. They don't too worried if you hit a concrete wall. They'll just find another South African and say, come across. I mean, they let you fly through mountains and buildings.
There are lots of rules and regulations, a lot more than we have. But once you made a name in China, then you qualified for anything.
last year, Nigel came to visit us, and we were sitting around the crew room, and he told us one or two hair-raising stories about the display flying in China, particularly collecting money in order to continue the actual show. Any similar experiences in your time there?
Everything seems to sort of slowly become kind of like everywhere else. In the early days, it was a little bit Wild West sort of stories, but it's kind of, at the moment, it's pretty much like everywhere else.
What was the name of that four-ship aerobatic team that you were sponsored by Red Bull?
The Aviators. That's still going, and I think we started that in about 2012. We have different sponsors now, but that team has been going, I think, since 2012.
Are those aeroplanes sitting there waiting for you, for things to open up and for you to go back?
They live in containers in a air-conditioned or climate-controlled hangar, and they don't move until we get back. We didn't fly them in 2019 because of an AD, that the Airworthiness Directive, which kept the whole fleet on the ground for the air show period in China. And then, 2020, obviously COVID. So I think 2018 was the last time we operated that team, although we were ready to go, and we had a lot of shows to do, but they all got cancelled.
And that now is how you make your living, is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. It's, that and a few other things, but I've got an American A&P, engineer or mechanics license, so I do a lot of work on aerobatic planes.
Aerobatic pilots, who's the GOAT? Who, in your opinion, is the greatest of all time?
I guess three people come to mind. One from sort of a while ago is Nigel Lamb. He was the only person that I knew that could make a competition flight look like a happy event. And he was amazing to watch and to work with. So yeah, Nigel is definitely up there. Then of course, there's Rob Holland. Yeah, he's awesome. The other one's Mikhail Mamistov. Also incredible to watch. Well, he's been world champion many times, and he can make an airplane look good. Yeah.
Mark, just a last question, something that I was very curious about, and I never asked you at the time. While you were busy doing your stint in the mechanics side of Red Bull Air Racing, were you actually allowed to tinker with the aeroplane? Were you working on the airframe, engines? Because they seem to control it virtually like Formula One. If you touch anything, somebody comes to inspect it. I was just curious if you actually did the physical work on the aircraft.
Yeah, we had pretty much carte blanche. We could do whatever we wanted. Everything had to go through the the technical director, Jimbo Reed, who let nothing slip his attention. But there was nothing at all. I mean, I spent hundreds of hours on that airplane doing whatever I could to make it go faster. There wasn't a single thing that he didn't approve. So yeah, I mean, we did whatever needed to be done. But again, using your own sort of discretion as far as safety and standard practices are concerned. But yeah, you could do whatever you wanted.
What year did Nigel win the World Championships, the Red Bull Air Racing World Championships?
I was there. I happened to be in Germany at the time. And I went to, it was my only time I went to the Red Bull Air Race as a spectator. And it was the one where Nigel, won it, where he won the whole championship. And we got invited to the after party, which was really cool.
Mark, it's been great chatting. I wish we could do this some other way other than via Zoom. But hopefully in a couple of months' time, we'll bump into each other, have a couple of beers, and fly some aeroplanes. And I look forward to that.
Awesome. Nice to see you guys
again. Take
it
easy, and we'll come and visit you one of these days in your hangar.
You must.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoyed that episode. It was lovely chatting to Mark, and we're looking forward to the next aviation conversation here on Smoke on Go.